So good to see you, Hidden Nation. Welcome to the studio. It's Josh Cary here. It's your hidden entrepreneur. Hidden Nation, we're going to dig into everything that coincidentally the hidden entrepreneur stands for. You know the deal, what that's about. And to help us through this conversation, we're joined by our guest, Diana Morales, who is the author of the best-selling book, Rise Above the Noise. Diana, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Josh, for having me.
I love the title, Rise Above the Noise. I know that it's all about empowerment and coming out of your comfort zone, something that I've personally had to do several years ago through my journey. And now you tell your own story through it. Talk to me about the title. I love the name, Rise Above the Noise. What does it really mean?
What it means to me is to really be able to block the noise around you, no matter where your life is leading you or where you're at, to be able to just lead within and really just use your aspirations and things that you want to achieve and really not care too much about what the outside world is thinking or doing or speculating that you should be doing differently. So being able to block that outside, all the outside factors is really what the book is all about. And how the best way to do it is really just cut distractions and build your life in your terms. So that's I came out. It was around like blocking the noise. So rise really made a lot more sense because you're rising as an individual as you grow into your life and your world and what you're building. You should be able to rise above it all in your terms and just do it, your own way.
This is about becoming the best version of yourself day in and day out. Whether it's a specific example or not, what are some of the noises we'll most typically find ourselves having to rise above?
I mean, it's a lot, right? We grow into an environment from even from school where we are brought up to learn things a certain way and deviate through life in in a certain path and things that we're not even being taught as young at the young age. So I feel like the sort of the path for you is already being laid out without you even having any choice from being a young child. With my story, I started the book by really just sharing from birth. Like, I grew up, I was born in Albania in the Balkans. There was a huge earthquake during the time that I was born. The hospitals were even like totally destroyed. So I just feel like I was already born into the chaos without even having any choice. So I just feel like that's how my life has always been. Like I was always put in situations that I had no control. Those were all outside factors. So I had to learn at a very young age how to survive that environment and really just be able to just block it off to be able to continue on and grow my life. And then from there, I just, the books just goes on to, my childhood years of how we had to move because, our country was in distress, politics wise, and the falling of communism had happened. So we had to move to a different country and we went to Greece for many years, had to start from scratch there. Just witnessing my parents going through the changes over and over again and rebuilding and just the resilience of my father and how he was able to keep us all together really just gave me the courage. And I kind of learned a lot from him, just the resilience I take from that side. And then my mother was the other side of that component where she was always kind of not doing great with the chaos, but she knew that the outcomes have to be better by the choices that they would have to make. So they decided that as soon as I hit 16 that year, before I finished my third year of high school, to put me on a plane and send me to US for the foreign exchange student program because she pretty much felt that if I didn't take that path as part of my journey, that she wouldn't be able to offer me the life that she wanted for me and she would see for my future. So she pretty much said, listen, you're doing this, there is no choice around it. You're going to have to figure out your own path. So we're giving you the opportunity to take this flight to go to the US. And then from there, you're going to have to figure out how to get to the next level, to stay for college, to get a scholarship, to figure out, where you go from there. So a lot of children at that, or a lot of young, teenagers at that age really have their parents kind of walking them through like what to do, where how to navigate through your graduation year and your ceremonies and getting your all the goodbye parties before you go to college. I had none of that. I had to do it all by myself. And my senior year of high school really turned into like survival of like, what do I do next year? And how do I get myself to be the best at school and get straight A's and get a scholarship for college? And how do I navigate the process of like even, applying for colleges and learning that from scratch? Like I came into the West Coast and I lived in Montana for a year, which was a culture shock because I came from a big city. Like I lived in Athens, Greece for many years, and then was back in Tehran, Albania. So I lived in very big, um, grown, cities, and then kind of went to the whole opposite of that, was just culture shock, was, in the, mountains with just horses and a lot of beautiful land. But navigating through being here as a young woman trying to figure out life and really figuring out how to get it, to get myself to stay here and get to the next phase was really just that part of survival. So, and how I did that is by really just making so many connections that year, and I influenced pretty much everybody that I talked to because they couldn't believe my story. They were amazed that I was taking this path, coming here and really trying to figure out the next step. So people just welcomely like would help me with things that I was navigating through. And so I just learned that making connections and building meaningful like relationships with people was key from that phase. And that's what really I build my entire life and career based on, as you will go through my book and all the chapters, is strongly just highlighting all those paths. And each path that I took was very sort of like thought out, and what was I going to learn from that role that I was taking, and where was that role going to take me next, and how was I building me as a portfolio, myself, my life, like where was I going to do with this next. And in each journey I met certain individuals that were fantastic, that whether I learned from them by working with them or whether I extended myself to really go through like extensive other programs or leadership courses, etc. Um, that's what really got me to the always to the next phase and the next phase. So I really highlight those parts in my book a lot because I think being able to cut distraction is great because like you're focusing on you, which is you are your own, everybody that's on earth deserves a chance to succeed no matter what their backgrounds are or where they came from, right? So if you focus on you and how to build within, that kind of like shines you on the outside because everyone that you meet, you make a meaningful connection with, they can see through that. They sense it. They know that you are, a good spirit and you somehow can influence and have long lasting relationships and make an impact to those people too. So, and that was really the last 25 years, that is a skill set that I've focused really hard on building because that's what really made me a great leader in the last 7 years of my life, that I was in leadership positions and got more into the executive roles. I always had my team's back and people really just loved to follow me no matter where I would go. So like I've been in other jobs where, I could pull talent from other companies or kind of recirculate with those people in the field. So it's served me very well.
What do you tell somebody who wants to rise above the noise? What are the first steps that get them from there to where they want to go?
They have to evaluate what their state of now is, like where they're at, what's their life, how's their life serving them right now? What is some of the challenges that they're dealing with, whether it is an impact from a parent or a family member, or I feel like somehow like every person that you meet there's a reason why they are a certain way, because whether it is they've been impacted by someone in their life or the way they've been made believe that they should be a certain way, or they are that person, or they're not meant to succeed, or coming from evaluating if you're living your life from a place of fear and scarcity, or if you're leaving, moving on with your life from a place of like I can do this. I believe in myself. I have a lot of self love and self control where I can manage these situations based on my expectations. Because I certainly don't want to live my life, or anybody shouldn't be living their lives in somebody else's expectations. Like, I love Mel Robbins' books, like the last one that she wrote, because she talks about like you can only own how you feel and your happiness and how you manage your life. You can't own your children's happiness or your spouse's happiness. Like everybody owns that piece for themselves. And figuring that out sooner than later is what makes you a successful person in my mind, because and also makes you a happier person. And I think people see that around you because they're like, what are you doing that's different? And I can tell you stories about, coming out of industry for 25 years doing this. Last year in 2024, I started my own business, the consulting firm, and then I started realizing how my health had completely changed, just like navigating through less stress with doing things like working late at night, the stress of like, okay, how do we make this happen? I have a whole team to carry. Like, how do I protect my team from getting cut if we don't make the numbers? I've always been in a sales position, so I own the entire commercial team number, which is the hardest job within the company. So a big responsibility. But what I realized is I was running for the last 25 years from a place of like survival still, because that's where I all started. I started at 16, 17, 18, making my own path, buying my first house by 21, like making these big leaps. And that was great. But I realized I needed to stop because I no longer have to do that. I no longer have to run for survival or figure out what my next big step is. So I wanted to take a big gap year and really just focus on building the brand of my company, what I wanted that to really be for the world and for serving my clients, because I noticed a lot of gaps within the biotech industry, which is where our services really focus in really helping biotech startups survive within that first 2 to 4 years of their creation. Um, but also within that year is what spiked my sort of interest and love about, creating this book really came from a space of I needed to give myself a break and I needed this time out to really just evaluate where I've been for the last 25 years, how much I've accomplished. And I hadn't been really kind to myself either because I felt like I was just running so much and trying to do better and providing a better life for my kids, doing all this other great things. And great, we have a great lifestyle, but what did that get me as far as myself? I kind of lost myself in between. So the book is mostly really to help anybody else out there, whether it is a young person coming out of school or another female in the industry that's trying to like break through all the glass ceilings and get into the next phase, or whether it is just someone that's stuck, right? And they just don't know what they're doing, and they're not happy in their jobs. So, like I said, everyone has a chance. Everybody that was brought on earth has a chance to succeed and find what their best values are and what they want to do with their life and how they want to live their life. So, I was trying to give this break to myself to really figure out who I wanted to be moving forward. And yes, this is a big leap, coming out of industry and just taking everything that I learned the last 25 years, hindering. And now I'm like, I can build that on. I'm establishing my own brand. So kind of, I felt like I was the hidden entrepreneur, just working for someone else and making someone else rich constantly. But I figured like I can do that for myself too. So I wanted to make sure that I can serve my clients just as good as I've been doing it, but on my own terms and with my own values. So where this book means a lot to me, because it was a little bit of me giving myself some self-love and just giving myself a break. And the book really brought out a lot of emotions as I was writing it with my publisher, because Game Changer Publishing, I did not have this ghostwritten. It was all done by me. So it was my own story, my own words. Everything is, I've spent 5.5 months doing it, and I focused on it because I kind of wanted to let all the emotions come out, and I want to have this cleansing of, okay, great. Like we did this. You've already succeeded. You've built a really great career, and now we're just gonna focus on something bigger and better, and we're just gonna take this opportunity to move forward. So this is how I got here.
Do you have personal daily practices that have to still be in play that the listener can implement?
Absolutely. And I think I was lacking a lot of my everyday practices, mostly on the self-love and self-development. What I mean by that is I wasn't meditating. I was trying to, I was working out, doing, as much outdoor activity, etc. during, between having, I have three boys, so between having each child and really just building my career at the same time. But what I do today, a year in this space of freedom, is really, I have mind, body, and soul is such a critical part of my day. If I cannot have, like, I need to have my focus time where I just set my intentions about who I want to be, how I want to run my day, what I have, focusing what are my goals for today, this week, this month. Um, Remaining focused on the brand that I'm building and things that how I want that to look, but also being mindful and being present for my family and my children, because I don't want that time to go by and have missed on things that I do with them. So I'm very focused on being a mom, which is by far the most rewarding thing in life. And God trusted me with three souls to take care of. So I want to do my job right. So part of my routine is really just I take the mornings, take care of the kids, but I have to meditate first thing in the morning and set my intentions, and then work out sometime, do whatever I can fit it in within my schedule, and then we do have a lot of sports and dinner with the family and everything. We're trying to keep everything as a family together too. We're planning a lot more trips together. We're doing, this year we're gonna take our first trip to a trip to Europe, which I haven't been in 20 years, where I came from. And we're going to visit my parents. So my children have never been, and I haven't been in 20 years. So I think this is kind of like the breakthrough year for all of us, trying new things, but also I would love for my kids to see where I came from and really see who their mother is and from their eyes and everything that I've accomplished so far. So my hope is to really just show to them that if our mother can do it, that they can be whoever they want to be and their heart desires, and all the skills that they are building and they're good human beings that they're becoming. It's part of, I want to be part of that development. So
Absolutely admirable. Wrap this in a nice bow for us. What is the message the listener needs to know as they go about their day?
I would say mindset is everything. You really have to shift the way you think. If you are feeling that you're not in a good place and you're constantly running your life from a place of survival or a place of fear, and not um, not from internal love, is where I'm coming from, because this you have to have self-love in order to be able to do anything outside, because if you don't drive with that, everything else is kind of going to fall apart at some point, right? So my hope for everyone is to really just as they develop in their careers, if that's great, but lead with a meaningful uh, path and have set goals for yourself. And if you're not in the right place, then change that place. If you're not in the right job, then change that job. And if you're not in the room where you're learning more things and you're stagnant, then you're not in the right room. So you need to find another room, inclusive of like friends, right? Sometimes we have the same friends or friends that we meet through work or whatever life setting. Sometimes those are not the best people to bring us to the next phase. And sometimes you just have to go outside your comfort zone and just find yourself another room and new friends, and try different things, because life is so beautiful that we just get stuck into our programmed days, that we're just monotony is like making us lose hours and time that's so precious. So just live every day. When they say live every day to the best of your ability and just like actually do that. And if your job is suffocating 10 hours or 12 hours of your day, then that's not the right place to be in.
Diana Morales, Rise Above the Noise, bestseller. Congrats on all of that success. Available right now on Amazon. Check it out.
Thank you, Josh.